Have you ever experienced this? You bought an expensive Garmin watch, but as soon as you start running, your heart rate spikes to zone 4, even though you still feel like you can run and chat? Or you open the Garmin Connect app and find the percentages of the 5 heart rate zones don't add up to 100%? Is your watch broken? In today's video, we won't get into complex textbook theories. We'll explain Garmin's 5 heart rate zones in the simplest way and fix any settings that have gone off track. Hi everyone! Recently, we introduced how Garmin's optical heart rate sensors and chest straps work. Today, let's talk about heart rate zones. I'll break this down into 5 parts. Feel free to skip ahead to whatever interests you, though we'd really appreciate it if you watch until the end. Let's get started with part 1. There are 5 heart rate zones on the watch, each representing a different intensity level. On your watch, go to Settings, User Profile, Heart Rate and Power Zones, Heart Rate, and Zones to see your general heart rate zone settings. Zone 1 is the lowest intensity and easiest effort. Zone 5 is the highest intensity or most exhausting. Garmin names the 5 zones as follows. Zone 1 is warm up. Zone 2 is easy. Zone 3 is aerobic. Zone 4 is threshold. And Zone 5 is maximum. As long as our heart is beating, we have a maximum heart rate and a resting heart rate. Dividing the range between these two numbers into 5 parts gives us the 5 exercise heart rate zones. Now, some might say, isn't that 6 divisions? How is it only 5? Yes, you're right. We rarely discuss the section below Zone 1 because it's below exercise intensity thresholds. Activities like resting, doing chores, walking, or chatting contribute very little to aerobic fitness, so they aren't highlighted on your watch or app. Now that we know heart rate is divided into 5 zones, how are the ranges and percentages for each zone determined? The first method is based on maximum heart rate. Once you know your max HR, you multiply it by percentages to define each zone. During exercise, just check which zone you're in to see if you're slacking off or pushing too hard. This is called the % max HR method. For example, if my max HR is 180 BPM and Zone 1 is set to 50% to 60%, and I want an easy run today, I just keep my heart rate between 90 and 108 BPM. Or I can simply check if the gauge arrow points to Zone 1, which is even simpler. What if the default Zone 1 of 50% to 60% feels too high? Can I adjust it? Of course you can. You can customize Zone 1 to 40% to 55%, and Zone 2 to 55% to 63%, to build your own personalized heart rate zones. Because the % max HR method is intuitive, you only need your max HR to set it up quickly. It's perfect for beginners. The second method is heart rate reserve. Reserve refers to the usable range between your resting and max heart rate, in English called reserve. So HRR stands for heart rate reserve. This method is great for endurance training, since it factors in your resting heart rate. Every calculated zone and intensity level is highly personalized. What % HRR and % max HR have in common is that both require an accurate or measured max HR, ensuring the 5 intensity zones truly reflect your condition. The third method is based on lactate threshold heart rate. Threshold refers to a boundary. When your heart rate crosses this boundary, lactate accumulates faster than your body can clear it, accelerating fatigue. Without proper rest and recovery, your performance will be limited. This threshold level is called lactate threshold heart rate. The % LTHR method is ideal for runners and cyclists following periodized training. Its main advantage is precisely reflecting exercise intensity, but it requires a reliable test to determine your LTHR. If the test results are inaccurate or haven't been updated in a while, the effectiveness of this method is limited. If you prefer setting training intensity directly by heart rate values, there is a fourth option called BPM. You can manually set specific heart rate numbers for each zone. So, which heart rate method should you use? If you're just starting out for a healthier lifestyle and want simple watch settings, consider the % max HR method. If you already have a regular training routine and want resting heart rate included to better reflect your body's status, go with the % HRR method. If you're a serious athlete analyzing training data strictly and regularly testing your lactate threshold heart rate, then use the % LTHR method. If you work with a coach who designs your workouts and has a preferred method, keep it simple. Just set it according to your coach's instructions. Keep in mind that not all watches support all these methods. For instance, the Venu SQ2 was a smartwatch focused on wellness and light activities, so it only supports the %max HR method. The Forerunner 165 is an entry to mid-level running watch, supporting both %HRR and %max HR. Advanced models like the Forerunner 970, Phoenix 8, Tactics 8, and Descent MK3i Dive Computer include all the heart rate methods mentioned above. We recommend checking product specs on the official website before buying. If you're still unsure, it's safest to call Garmin customer support to double-check. If you've decided to start working out, how do you control intensity properly so you don't overexert yourself, give up early, or get injured? This is where the 5 heart rate zones come in handy. Keeping your heart rate in or below zone 1 during exercise ensures the intensity stays within safe limits. This makes your workouts sustainable and highly effective. I highly recommend this approach for anyone unsure where to start on their health journey. In addition to general heart rate zone settings, you can tap Add Sport Heart Rate to customize heart rate methods and zones separately for running, cycling, and swimming. This allows your watch to calculate training effect more accurately for each sport. Generally, your max heart rate is higher when running than cycling, because running engages more muscle groups and requires supporting your full body weight in an upright posture. Similarly, your max heart rate during swimming is usually lower than cycling, mainly because your body is horizontal, and water provides better cooling. If you don't configure sport-specific heart rate zones, your watch will calculate training effect using your general heart rate zones. If you've already completed a run or aerobic workout with your Garmin watch, congratulations, you've taken the first step toward a healthier lifestyle. When you open Garmin Connect and go to the Charts tab, you'll see colorful charts for running or swimming pace, heart rate, and aerobic/anaerobic training effect. Scroll to the bottom to view time spent in each heart rate zone, shown in minutes, seconds, and percentages. If you controlled your heart rate well during an easy jog, without sprinting, you should only see a bar for zone 1. If bars appear in zone 2, 3, or 4, it means you picked up your pace mid-run, or hot weather spiked your heart rate. Next time, remind yourself to slow down slightly to keep your heart rate in zone 1. If you ran lightly and your heart rate immediately spiked to zone 3 or 4, yet you didn't feel tired, check if your max HR is set too low, causing the watch to register your heart rate as zone 3 or 4. When starting a workout, your heart rate is usually low and hasn't reached zone 1 yet. Therefore, the sum of time percentages across the 5 zones will be close to, but not exactly, 100%. If your total percentage is far below 100%, check if your heart rate zone percentage settings got messed up. For example, default zone 1 is 50% to 60%, but your settings shifted to something like 78% to 82%. To give an extreme example, this setting glitch most commonly happens on second-hand watches that weren't factory reset before use, causing data conflicts when paired with your Garmin Connect app and overwriting your settings.
Got a super cheap Garmin watch here. Call this number if interested.
If you're facing this issue, where your heart rate zone percentages are off, simply tap Reset Zones. This will restore all percentages back to factory defaults. That covers our introduction to heart rate zones. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Hope you enjoy your training.